Hello, I'm Buck Weaver, Dr. Robert Weaver. I'm a neuropsychologist trained at Harvard Medical School and a PhD in clinical psychology. And I'm here to offer another website video, which I'm very excited about because we have spent 30 years working with students who've had real troubles with organizing things, finding things, paying attention, struggling. And this Achilles heel for most of our kids who are extraordinarily bright and capable and can really produce very, very well when it comes to high interest activity. Not only produce, but be organized, be productive, and so on and so forth. When it comes to low interest activities, this is really a big time struggle. So today I'm going to be talking about the first of a two-part series because it's hard to fit it all into 5 or 10 minutes. I like to keep it very short. So what I'm going to be talking about today is a 17-year-old student who had just graduated from high school and was very apprehensive about going to college, not so much because of the interest in the activities and so on and so forth, but he's always had such a hard time when it comes to organizing things and finding things and getting things done on time and all of the struggles that many of our students, of course, work with. So I'm going to call him Henry, just as an easy point of reference. And so I have been working with Henry for about 3 or 4 weeks about his anxieties and apprehensions about going to college and buckling right down on what the issues are that he struggles with. And as I say, the second part of this video will have to do with the basis of the treatment that we use, which is neuroplasticity, and why it's so important for kids to know the basis of how we change and how we learn and how we use the strategies that we promote here at the Weaver Center. So the first meeting or two, I just said, what's the apprehension? What's your anxiety about? And the response was, I can't find anything. I've been looking for the applications, for the references. I've been, I lose everything. I'm really anxious. I'm very stressed. I know I've always had a big problem with this, and it's making it very difficult for me to think about going to college when I know that I'm going to have a regular schedule and I'm going to have to be able to get things done, especially homework, which is so hard for me to get started on, and so forth. So our first meeting was really to talk about what are the difficulties that he's struggling with. And he was really quite clear. He said, I lose everything. Everything I touch, I seem to lose. I don't even have to move my seat from one place to another for me to have something that hides itself, if you know what I mean, winky winky. And he also said that if it's not in plain sight, the chances of me finding it are even more dismal. And as we talked further about it, it was clear that he takes almost 2 to 3 hours a day looking for things. And so I said, well, listen, let's work on that first. And of course, I joked with him that I used to say to everyone that I knew, I spent about 50% of my day looking for things. So having attention deficit and knowing the difficulties with finding things and being on time and all that is very, very stressful. But we had a little bit of a joke about that. So the first thing that I said is I talked about neuropsychology, which I'll be saying in the next little tape. But I said the most important thing to find things is to prevent them from being lost. And of course, he knows this. Everybody knows that. And I said one of the things that the kids and adolescents and adults that I've seen here have helped me develop is 3 different things that are really, really helpful. There's a lot more than that, which I'll get onto in further tapes. But the first thing is do it now. If you say that in your own mind, and I say this probably 2 or 3 dozen times a day, if you say this very frequently, it will really help you. Every time you say, I'll do it in a minute, or I got plenty of time, or all of those kinds of things, you know that you intend to, but it never happens. So the most important thing you can do is put all your effort and energy into stopping what you're doing, standing up, and moving forward. The second thing that we talked about is everything has its place. If you put something in its place all the time, and you have a place for everything, you're not likely to have a problem with that. You'll be able to find them. And third, and most importantly, as it turned out for Henry, was the whole idea of touchdown. Now, for those of us that like football and so on and so forth, that's very, very helpful term. But one of the things we realize, of course, not only for those that have attention problems, but for people in general, we often lose things. Some of us more so than others. But if you have attention issues, you lose things, you're likely to lose things lots and lots and lots of times per day and spend so much time and stress and effort and energy that it's almost intolerable, as it was for Henry. So the first thing, even though it's in reverse order, as I said, the reason that we lose things all the time is because as soon as we put something down, we've got something else on our mind that we're headed to. We never pay attention to what we put down and where we put it. So now I suggested to him that every time he puts a tool or a pencil or a pen down, touch down, that you touch it all the way down to where you put it. And if you're paying attention to where you put something, there's a really good chance that you'll be able to remember where you put it. And even though this sounds very easy, I heard from him a week after, which was just last week, that this has been amazing for him. And we talked about some different ways in which he was using that. For example, he loves to work on cars. He says he never finds his tools again. I said, listen, touch it before you put it down. And also, if you have a place for everything, put a bag out there, and everything you put in the bag, bolts or tools or whatever, put them in the bag. That way you're touching them, you're putting them in the bag, and at the end of the day, you'll have a bag with everything, and then you can spend the time putting things away so that you're not spending forever with a great deal of frustration trying to find things, put them away, and so on and so forth. The other issue is he said that he's always looking for things. So now he has two places, one right by the door and one right by the light in his room, to put everything. His wallet, his keys, his watch, if there's any important information that he needs to do or fill out or so forth, he knows that everything has its place. And the effort that you put into to put it in its place will save you so much time on the other side. So after a week of this, he said, it was amazing. I never thought there was anything that I could do about this problem. I just thought this was me. This is really going to change my life. I spent so much time being frustrated, angry at myself, being really disappointed, feeling like I wasn't going to be able to be successful in life if I couldn't find anything. And the fact is, I really found out, and the thing that I learned most is that you can get help for these things. And not only can I get help on this, but now I can be aware that if there's something that's troubling me, maybe I can figure out a solution that works for me. And so he went through his last week after, as I say, a couple of sessions, and I'll get onto neuroplasticity in my next talk. But he said that not only does this help him feel much more in control, it is so much less stressful. He said that over 50% of his stress this whole week was reduced because everything he put, he knew where to find it again. He only had to remember 3 things, not 55 things that he's put down, 3 places. And the other thing that really has helped him is whenever he's got an idea about doing it now. He's had a tough time with his room. If you put things away now, just do it now, as opposed to and touch it before, and have it go in its right place. These things, when they become more and more automatic, and you have greater and greater mental capacity for bringing them up right away and using them right away and being productive, it's amazing. And he said that this is really going to be a life changer for him. He's very excited about it. He's going to maintain these things. And of course, now he's eager for the next things, which I can get on to what we've talked about this past week. But I'm very much hopeful that this gives everyone an opportunity to know that these issues that we struggle with so much can be learned and can be applied in situations that are not in therapy, because that's where our work is done once a week, or in my case, this is all by Skype. This is a fellow who has felt very much relieved. In fact, he had one other thought that I thought was very insightful. He said that one of the things that's hard for him is to make phone calls. He's got a bunch of phone calls he wants to make because he's taking this semester off. He wants to get a job, and he's got a list and so on and so forth, but it's so hard for him to make phone calls. And what he said is that I am so much less stressed because of my ability to control the placement of things that I've always lost, I'm so much less stressed that I actually can get to things that used to bother me a lot more because I'm not as stressed by all things. So he said that he's made 3 or 4 phone calls and he's waiting for responses, but all of this interlocking between our mental organization and our attention and our emotions, the degree of anger and frustration and discouragement and stress has greatly been reduced in a relatively short period of time. And I hope that this might be helpful to all of you as a really nice example of the kind of work that can be done for our kids. So please don't hesitate to send me questions. I love to answer questions. You can send them directly to my email, rweaver, that's for Robert Weaver, but rweaver@weavercenter.org. You can certainly go to our website, weavercenter.org, and check out our blogs and our videotapes. And I hope this was real helpful. I'd love some feedback. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.